You're listening to KEMPIRE here on the KEMPIRE Radio Network.
Happy Saturday, podcast listeners. First of all, I appreciate you because you guys are the real ones, because not only do you watch the content everywhere else, you actually listen to the podcast. And this is why I always give you guys special additional content here. Not only special episodes, but sometimes I add additional thoughts to some of our live recaps, like Real Housewives of Atlanta, or our Tuesday Takeover, or special episodes like we did with our doctor friend, Dr. Frida. If you missed it, so much great feedback. You can watch it on YouTube, but you can also listen to it here on the podcast. So much has been going on. And I had to put a juicy episode together where we cover some of the hot topics that we've been talking about on YouTube. But I also wanted to talk about some of the Real Housewives things. So I did do an episode where I recapped the Real Housewives of New York's trailer. I talked a little bit about Salt Lake City. I spilled a little tea about Salt Lake City. But I also talked about Real Housewives of London and Real Housewives of Orange County, because some of you have been asking, am I going to recap any of those shows? I probably won't recap them separately. If I do end up talking about them, I will probably talk about them collectively. But I hope you guys are having a fantastic Saturday. It's a beautiful week so far here in New York City. The Mercury retrograde is over. However, Femtaro reminds me that there is a shadow period. I wish he would not remind me, because it's been a rough Mercury retrograde, at least for me as a Taurus, Sun, Leo, Moon, Cancer rising. But speaking of Leos, happy Leo season. We have to shout out to the Leos. We got to, push them up. They like to be pushed up. But I hope you guys are having a fantastic end of Mercury retrograde. Fantastic Leo season. Hope you had a fantastic Cancer season. Shout out to all the Cancers. As a Cancer rising, I know I shade all the signs. There's probably not a sign I do not drop some sort of shade. So calm down, because I know you guys can be very sensitive, especially the Pisces. We won't go there right now. But let's get into this. I wanted to talk more about the situation with Malcolm-Jamal Warner's widow suing his mother for $1.2 million. And she's fighting this battle because in their prenuptial agreement before he passed away, he promised her certain things, but Malcolm-Jamal Warner, very much like a lot of people, famous or not famous, did not carry through with putting those things in place. I'm not sure why he didn't put those things in place if you're putting that in a prenuptial agreement, especially because they were married. They were together for a long time, but they were married maybe, when did they get married? I can't remember the year, but you'll hear the year in our report on that story. But it was so crazy that literally in the same week, Mercury retrograde, it's not just about exes coming back. It's about miscommunication. It's about, making sure you cross your T's and dot your I's. It's interesting this family drama was playing out this week, because that wasn't the only story in regards to a celebrity that passed away, and there's a fight over the estate or trusts and things like that. And if anything, it was a reminder to all of us to set up a trust. And I know you were thinking, but they have a trust and it's still an issue. Well, anyone can sue. But her suing the trust is going to be an uphill battle for her, because that's why people set up trusts, so that, to protect from things like this. But we'll be following this. I don't know if you guys saw the interview that Malcolm-Jamal Warner's widow, Kenesha, did with CBS Morning. It should be noted that that interview was done before Gayle or CBS even knew that Tanisha was going to be suing the estate. Apparently, she says that she's been trying to figure something out with the estate before suing. So I don't know if when she decided to do this interview that she knew she was going to sue and she just didn't say anything. I do find it interesting, because I don't want to get into this battle over, she was out for the money. She was with this man for a long time, even before they got married, and they kept a very private life. I'm just questioning, how private he was. Why are you doing this interview? I know it's a year since his passing, literally this week. She filed her lawsuit on the anniversary. I find it interesting that she did this interview, because I think she knew she was going to sue, and she wanted to get ahead of people making her out to be something else, okay? And maybe that's smart. Maybe someone advised her to do that. I don't know. But I am kind of looking at her with the side eye like, you did this interview, but you didn't tell CBS or Gail that you were filing this lawsuit. Some might argue that she didn't plan to file the lawsuit. She didn't know at that time. I don't know, but it's a little suspicious. Then we had the other story where we talk about Chadwick Boseman's widow being accused by Chadwick's brothers that she's not doing what she's supposed to do when it comes to being someone that's over the estate, the administrator of the estate. They want her removed. They want a third party actually put in place because they feel like their parents are due certain things based off of Chadwick's estate. Keep in mind, Chadwick passed away without a will. So that's important to note. So they are saying that she's not carrying through with the promises that she should. So now they're suing. This situation is just messy, messy, messy. But speaking of messy, as I said before, I got into some Real Housewives things. The video premiered Saturday morning. However, you'll be getting this podcast at some point on Saturday afternoon. Get into the things. Don't forget, we got a couple of things coming up in regards to the Kempire After Dark live show coming to New York City on September 25th. There is a live stream option, so even if you can't come, even though if you're in New York or will be in New York or want to be in New York, you should come because it's always a good time. Go get your tickets today. Ticket information on that will be available in the description. And be sure to check out our sponsors, MyFitnessPal. You guys have been so great about redeeming the discount code. I'm telling you, it is a game changer. If you think MyFitnessPal is what you thought it was before, it's completely different now. Completely different now. And it's $68 for the year. That breaks down to 19 cents a day. So that's nothing when it comes to how much premium on MyFitnessPal can actually help you. Just saying. And the nutrition coach, that's a game changer. Wait till you see what the nutrition coach can do. More information on MyFitnessPal will be available in the description. All right? All right. And of course, everything else in regards to our other sponsors that will be featured in this special bonus Saturday episode here on the Kempire Radio Network. Get into it, y'all. Malcolm-Jamal Warner's widow, Tanisha Warner, is suing his mother for $1.2 million, claiming that there were things in her prenuptial agreement that she's owed and has not received. Let's break down some of the confusing information that's been going around. So as you know, it was over a year ago that Malcolm-Jamal Warner drowned and passed away. Since then, we haven't really heard anything until today. His widow, Tanisha Warner, who's really been out of the spotlight ever since they were together, is now suing his mother. And you may have seen all the comments about how could she do this. There's just a lot of confusing information. So what I hope in this video that we can do together is really understand what is happening here. So according to People magazine, they said Malcolm-Jamal Warner's widow, Tanisha Warner, has taken legal action against his mother, Pamela Warner, over an alleged unpaid debts from his family trust. In a lawsuit filed in DeKalb County Superior Court in Georgia, obtained by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution and TMZ, Tanisha alleges that she and the late actor signed a premarital agreement in May of 2022 and claims that he agreed to a $1 million life insurance policy with her as the sole beneficiary, though allegedly failed to secure the policy. So really pay attention to these details. Tanisha filed a lawsuit in DeKalb County, Georgia on the first anniversary of his death on Monday, July 20th, per the AJC. In court documents filed in Los Angeles County Court on July 17th, obtained by People, Tanisha claimed that she's owed $1,276,042.46, comprising of $1 million in life insurance obligations, $50,542.46 for an anniversary payment obligation laid out in their agreement, $30,500 with respect to a Roth IRA obligation, and $195,000 with respect to a salary obligation as she worked as her late husband's chief of staff. Pamela serves as the trustee, Malcolm-Jamal Warner's mom, the trustee of the Warner Family Trust, which the actor set up in 1996, so over 30 years ago. And Tanisha reportedly requests that the alleged debts is covered by the trust since she believes that Malcolm's estate will, quote, will be inadequate to satisfy the costs per the AJC. Tanisha is also seeking interest, attorney's fees, and an order preventing Pamela from distributing anything from the trust during the case, according to the outlet. People magazine has reached out to the attorneys for Pamela and Tanisha. Malcolm, as you know, who played Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show from 1984 to 1992, died in an accidental drowning while on a family vacation in Costa Rica on July 20th of 2025. He was only 54 years old. People magazine reminds us that Pamela appeared on Good Morning America in September of 2025 to discuss how the family adjusted in the months since his death, telling Robin Roberts that she was at peace with everything that happened. On Monday, she shared a tribute to her son on the first anniversary of his death via his Living Legacy Instagram page, calling it amazing how a year of pain, hurt, loss, emotional destabilization, and most importantly, growth has come and sits here before me. During my year-long journey, I have discovered how cruel, evil, and greedy a human can be. So she was already kind of alluding to what's been going on. I have also discovered the depth of love, care, concern, and support that humans are capable of, all of which I have been the recipient of, the good, the bad, and the ugly. These are the lessons that apparently I will need as I continue my journey. She later concluded, please take care of yourselves and those who you love. Let them know that they are loved. Clear up any beefs you may have with your loved ones, if possible. Cleanse your spirit of negativity. We all have an expiration date. Don't leave or let your loved one leave without knowing that they are loved and treasured. That knowledge and clean plate has helped me survive. Malcolm and Tanisha share one daughter who was 8 years old at the time of his death. In September, Tanisha shared a photo from their wedding and thanked her followers for holding us in so much love during this tender time. At the time, she launched the Warner Family Foundation, River and Ember, alongside their daughter. The Warner Family Foundation will provide scholarships for young students seeking to pursue a higher education in the arts, while River and Ember is an organization that offers seasonal toolkits with art and other exercises for parents and children. Tomorrow marks our anniversary, and my heart is wide open. For the first time, I'm sharing a glimpse of the love that began it all, she wrote at the time. I can still hear my husband's laugh, still feel the way he made room for every part of me, every tear, every dream. Together we carry the legacy my husband and I began, one that nurtures children's inner light and gives young artists the freedom to create outside the lines. This is love, still moving, still making, still carrying us forward. So apparently this Thursday, Gayle King is going to have a sit down with Tanisha on CBS Mornings. So this situation is getting very messy because wait, you're going to sit down with an interview? This lawsuit has just come out, so I'm sure Gayle's going to ask you about this lawsuit. I had to kind of break down some of what has been shared online and what it's being said in these court documents. So a reminder, Malcolm and Tanisha have been together since May of 2017, living between Los Angeles and Atlanta. They dated about 5 years before legally marrying in May of 2022. About a week before the wedding, they signed a prenuptial agreement, and that prenup is what this whole case is about. The defendant is his mother, Pamela Warner, as I mentioned, but here's the important part. She's being sued in her role as a successor trustee of the Warner Family Trust, a trust Malcolm set up, as I mentioned, in 1996, 30 years ago, decades before he ever met Tanisha. Pamela controls this trust. That's why she's named in this lawsuit and why she probably made the mention that she mentioned during the anniversary of his death on social media. So Tanisha filed this lawsuit, as I mentioned, on July 20th in DeKalb County Superior Court in Georgia for the amount of $1.2 million, plus interest and attorney's fees. She alleges that the prenup obligated Malcolm to do 5 things he never delivered. This is important to know. I get it. We all love Malcolm-Jamal Warner, and he has passed on, and we do not speak ill of the dead, but we need to examine some of, I'm going to say, the facts based off of what she's claiming in the lawsuit, because we haven't seen the actual prenuptial agreement. She alleges that he promised 5 things. A $1 million life insurance naming her as a sole beneficiary. She says that he never bought or maintained it. $5,000 a month paying her as the chief of staff. $16,000 a year tax-free on their anniversary. A tax-free retirement account in her name, and college funds for their children. They only had 1 child, but I'm guessing the prenuptial agreement said if they had more children.
Hey guys, it's Joe.
It's Kevin.
And this is Nick Jonas from Hey Jonas.
Do you remember growing up when it felt like every teacher had a favorite student?
Everybody knew who it was. Well, I was homeschooled, so I like to think it was me. A class of 1. Congratulations.
But we're not here to talk about favorite students. We want to talk about a teacher's real favorite.
Kleenex tissues.
According to Teacher List, Kleenex is the #1 facial tissue brand trusted by teachers.
Kleenex Ultra Soft tissues are silky soft to help prevent skin irritation. And now you can take them anywhere with Kleenex Snap and Go.
Between dance, soccer, school events, and everything else kids have going on after school, Kleenex Snap and Go is easy to take along. It fits in backpacks, sports bags, or even in the car, so it's ready for whatever comes next. So do the best thing for your kids, and teachers, stock up on the ultimate classroom favorite. Maybe you'll even become the teacher's favorite parent.
We still haven't settled who would be the favorite in our school.
We haven't settled who the favorite brother is either.
For whatever happens next, grab Kleenex.
Court filings put his earnings around $680,000 a year, and his net worth was near $3.4 million at the time of his death. It should be noted that this is not a woman fighting her mother-in-law over an inheritance. It's about a debt. And debts can get paid before anybody inherits anything. So hence why they don't want any money being moved out of that trust. She's claiming to be a creditor, his wife, Tanisha. Her argument is pretty simple. Malcolm-Jamal Warner signed a contract. He died without honoring it, so it's a debt. And debts get paid before anybody inherits anything. The problem, though, is where the money is. She says that his estate is currently unrepresented, meaning that no executor has been formally appointed, and it's inadequate to satisfy what she's owed. So she's reaching past the estate and going after the trust. This is why it's so important when it comes to our own figuring out wills, trusts, estate planning. This is why this is so important. Even if you feel like you don't have a lot, if you have a property, if you have savings, if you have a retirement fund, you need to figure these things out, especially when you have children and whatnot. So she's saying she's reaching past the estate, and this is why she's going after the trust. And Pamela, Malcolm-Jamal Warner's mom, is the one holding the keys to the trust. She's actually running this on 2 tracks as a creditor's claim filed in DeKalb County probate court against the estate, and this is a civil suit in Superior Court going after the trust. That's a deliberate strategy. This is not a squabble between family members. This is what Tanisha Warner is asking the court to do. Beyond the money, Tanisha wants an order blocking Pamela from distributing any assets out of the trust while the case plays out. That tells you that she's worried that the money could be handed out and leave nothing to collect from. And courts tend to move on that kind of request faster than the case itself. It'll probably be a hold on the trust. This is what could be ahead when it comes to this very, very touchy case, especially when it comes to someone that's passed on and his family members, and there's a young child involved. So the core legal question is whether a creditor of the estate can reach into the trust at all. This is where we're going to have to speak with an attorney to kind of break this down. This is just basic of what we're trying to understand when it comes to this. Trusts are often built specifically to sit outside probate and be shielded from exactly this. You know, oftentimes we've had people call in and we've talked about this. This is why you should set up a trust. Expect the defense to argue some mix of the trust was never a party to the prenup, so it isn't bound by it. The obligations were personal to Malcolm and ended when he died. Some of them were actually satisfied, or the terms are too ambiguous to enforce. Her side will argue a contract debt doesn't just evaporate because someone passes away. My concern is that he made these promises in their prenuptial agreement, but he never set those things up. 3 years into the marriage before his death. The complaint states that she, quote, performed all obligations required of her under the agreement, including entering into and remaining in the marriage until the descendant's death. That's going to get clipped and made ugly, like she stayed for a payout. But that's standard contract language. In any contract, you have to show that you've held up your end. Her end was that entering the marriage and remaining in it. This is why people get so squeamish about prenuptial agreements, because they're like, oh, you're already thinking about the end of our marriage. Well, a marriage is a contract under law. I know people don't like that because you fell in love with this person, but it's a contract to protect both people involved here. So, but that's standard contract language, as I mentioned. In any contract, you have to show that you upheld your part of the contract. Her end was entering the marriage and remaining in it, and that's all it means. So everything here is one side's account, as I mentioned before. This is Tanisha's complaint. Doesn't mean that it's fact, and they're just allegations. None of it has been proven, and Pamela Warner has not publicly responded yet. But as I mentioned before, her post on his anniversary of his death says to me she is not happy with this situation. It also makes me wonder what the relationship has been in the last year. Is Pamela involved in her grandchild's life? And now with this whole situation, and now Tanisha's going to do an interview, bringing the family mess to a public platform. I don't know how I feel about that, because this should just be a court case. It shouldn't, and I get it, she probably wants public opinion. She wants to make it clear what her intention is, because I already see what the comments are saying about Tanisha. They say, oh, she only married him for the money. But the important thing to note here, she had a child with him. So her fight is not even just about herself. It's about protecting her child's legacy, and that her child also is able to have a life that she knows that Malcolm would want that child to have. No matter how Malcolm could have felt about the wife. I mean, obviously he loved her. He married her. But he also had a child with this person. So I know that he would want to protect his child and make sure that the child is taken care of. So, reminder that this is a family that lost a son, a husband, and a father literally just a year ago. And as I mentioned before, there's a young daughter in the middle of all of this. So this is why I feel like everyone with their legal hats on, including myself, have their strong opinions, but we need to keep an open mind that she claims, again, we have not seen the prenuptial agreement, that she was owed these things, that this is what was set up in the prenuptial agreement. However, she's claiming that Malcolm never set these things up while he was alive. And they got married in 2022. He passed away in 2025. This is going to be a very touchy case, but we're going to be following it. Support from today's episode comes from Square, the business platform that helps sellers become neighborhood favorites. Whether you're gearing up for a busy season or just trying to keep up with the everyday demand, Square keeps your business running smoothly, from payments and POS to online orders, inventory, staff, and more, all in one place so that you can focus on your customers, not your to-do list. Ready to grow or streamline how you run things? Square is offering listeners up to $200 off Square hardware when you sign up at square.com/go/Kempire. Again, SQUARE.com/go/Kempire. Start with Square and build a setup that grows with your business. You know I'm all about the little details that make an experience feel elevated. And one of the things that I noticed recently at my chiropractor's office, they provide a bunch of different things, including Pilates, including massage. I noticed that they use Square. I noticed how seamless it made my checking out experience with them every week. Tap, done, and the receipt's already in my email inbox before I even put my wallet away. That's Square running quietly in the background, building the Kempire as an actual business, not just a YouTube channel. I get why that matters. When the tech behind the counter just works, the owner gets to focus on the customer instead of troubleshooting a card reader. Square puts payments, POS, and inventory and staffing all in one system, so a business owner isn't juggling 5 different apps just to open for the day. And they've made pricing simple too. 3 clear plans, free, plus, and premium. So you pay for what you actually need, no hidden fees or surprise upcharges. Square helps you run your business more smoothly, bringing payments, operations, and insights together in one place, so you're ready for whatever's next. Right now, listeners can get up to $200 off Square hardware when you sign up at square.com/go/kempire. That's SQUARE.com/go/kempire. Get started with Square and build a setup that works the way you do. There's a lot of family drama that we're reporting on this week. Now, the late Chadwick Boseman's brothers are asking that his widow be removed as the administrator of his estate. And we have an update on Wendy Williams' lawsuit against A&E. Well, the administrator's lawsuit on behalf of Wendy has been settled. So let's first start with the Chadwick Boseman story. If you missed it, we did report on a very tumultuous situation happening currently between Malcolm-Jamal Warner's widow and Malcolm-Jamal Warner's mother. If you missed that video, I'll post a link somewhere along here. And however, we have this news story in regards to Chadwick Boseman, and I just couldn't believe that this was happening literally in the same week. So according to People magazine, they said Chadwick Boseman's brothers are petitioning a Los Angeles court to remove his widow, Taylor Simone Ledward, as the administrator of his estate. In documents obtained by People, Kevin and Derek Boseman allege that his widow has not properly distributed Chadwick's remaining estate assets in the 6 years since his death, and that the brothers are requesting that she therefore be removed as the estate administrator. Immediately when I read this story, though, I said to myself, if you've lost someone, the last thing that you probably want to do is be an administrator of an estate, because there is no expiration date on grief. I just want to put that out there. I'm not saying that she hasn't dropped the ball, she's not doing what she's supposed to do. I'm just saying immediately that was my first initial thought, was the last thing I would want to do is be reminded every day that the person that I loved and married is no longer here. You're already reminded from the world, but now you have to, not everyone's meant to do business stuff. And I'll say this, I've seen his wife on live a few weeks ago or a couple of months ago. She's very into like the arts and things like that. The last thing I saw from what I saw of that person was a person that would want to be the head of an estate. But I know what you're saying, but she is. So you can't just drop the ball. Or at least do it like what Michael Jackson did. And we've talked about this before. In me twerking on a fence and trying to see it from the other side, Michael Jackson did not assign a family member as the executor of his estate because he knew how complicated his estate would be. He knew the amount of money there would be on the table in the future. We also have to keep in mind, in regards to Chadwick figuring these details out, he was also very sick. So, according to People magazine, they said she, his widow, continues to exercise complete control over his estate without input from Leroy or Carolyn. According to the petition filed by Kevin and Derek, which references their parents, Leroy and Carolyn, who are supposedly entitled to 25% of Chadwick's estate. According to the petition, his wife is entitled to 50% because Chadwick died without a will approximately 6 days after they wed in 2020. If anything, these stories are reminding us as a community, and I keep saying it doesn't matter if you're a Chadwick Boseman, if you have property, if you have money, any money, and if you have family members and children that you want protected, this is where you have to start doing estate planning. We're probably going to have to bring an expert on that does estate planning to discuss how we all can do this, because I definitely need to, on some level, add some of these things. So, according to the petition, his wife is entitled to 50% of Chadwick's estate after he died because he died without a will approximately 6 days after they wed in 2020. Attorneys for Derek and Kevin and for the widow did not immediately respond to People magazine's request for comment. Though a court, per the filing, allegedly issued a final order in 2022 directing his wife to distribute estate assets, including a $40,000 lifelong term care policy to Mom, Carolyn, Kevin, and Derek, claim in the petition that his widow, quote, continues to exert unilateral control over descendants' estate, denying descendants' family long overdue closure or participation in decision-making regarding matters affecting Leroy and Carolyn's interests in the descendants' estate. Kevin and Derek also allege in the filing that Chadwick's estate includes additional assets beyond the previously outlined bank accounts and care policies such as royalties and residuals, image and intellectual property rights, real property, a previous undisclosed bank account at C&B, and other personal property. They say that his widow, lack of transparency, creates the appearance that she's concealing assets from the descendants' family and from the court, which could be possible, or she just doesn't want to oversee it. According to the petition, his widow never distributed the long-term care policy to Carolyn, and one of Chadwick's bank accounts and his IRA remain inexplicably open, though the contents are unclear to Derek and Kevin. So the brothers are really fighting on their parents' behalf. Additionally, numerous residual payments from SAG-AFTRA dating between 2020 and the present are allegedly unaccounted for. Unclaimed property belonging to Chadwick was, per the filing, never marshaled, accounted for, or distributed. Derek and Kevin also claim that Ledward failed to distribute descendants' image and intellectual property rights by exerting unilateral control so that she continues to profit from the descendants' fame. Plus, the filing claims that Ledward has blocked Chadwick's family from pursuing lucrative business opportunities that might benefit descendants' elderly parents. I have a lot of thoughts in regards to everyone's motives here, because they really could be fighting for their parents, and Chadwick probably took care of his parents when he became famous and was able to. On other end, if I want to play devil's advocate, I'm playing devil's advocate here, it makes me wonder who else is being taken care of via their brother. Were the parents taking care of you because the brother was taking care of them? I don't know. The reason why I say this is because family stuff like this, I know a lot of times you read these stories and you're like, oh, this is it. She's a greedy wife and this is what she's doing to the parents. How could you do that? It's not always as black and white as we see it on paper. So Derek and Kevin also asked the court to appoint Jason Rubin, a private professional fiduciary and forensic accountant, as an administrator of Chadwick's estate in place of Ledward. That's where I would have to agree with them, and why so many people do not like John Branca from the Michael Jackson estate. But I wouldn't have trusted anyone else in that Jackson family to oversee the estate. Just say, I think there needs to be a check and balances where there's family that's involved, but also maybe a third party that's not necessarily involved. As you know, Chadwick died in August of 2020. It's been 6 years next month, at 43 years old, after a private 4-year battle with colon cancer. It's so sad to see these things happen, but these things happen every single day. You're just not hearing about it because these people are not famous. I did want to give you, because one of the questions that I'm always asked is, what's going on with Wendy Williams? You may have seen it was Wendy Williams' birthday this past weekend. Her niece took her out to celebrate her birthday. She looked great. I hadn't seen anything from Wendy in a while. There was a protest that they were having for Wendy as well, just because there really has not been any movement in regards to getting her out of this conservatorship. So we do have an update in regards to not her conservatorship, but the lawsuit brought on by her conservatorship against A&E and the documentary that they did, Where's Wendy Williams, that did not paint the conservator or the courts in the best way. I'm glad that it happened, to be honest with you. It didn't paint Wendy in the best light. However, it did shine a spotlight on what she was going through and who was around her at the time. So, according to TMZ, Wendy Williams' guardian, Sabrina Morrissey, settled the legal battle with A&E's television networks over the former talk show host's documentary, TMZ has learned. According to the court docs obtained by TMZ, Sabrina and A&E said that they resolved all issues and the lawsuit was being dropped. In the original lawsuit, Sabrina demanded the release of the documentary be halted, which did not happen, as you know, because we recapped and talked about the documentary, and for additional damages. Remember, this is the lawsuit where Sabrina Morrissey, the Guardian, was asking A&E to basically take care of Wendy's health care for the rest of her life. And we all said, wait, why would she need that? Why would she need her health care taken care of? Because there are rumors that her millions and millions of dollars may have been depleted by this conservatorship, allegedly. She claimed Wendy was dealing with, quote, very serious medical issues that rendered her effectively incapacitated, which Wendy and her lawyer have disputed. Sabrina claimed that A&E should not have filmed Wendy, which A&E said was nonsense, especially because Wendy's manager at the time allegedly was keeping Sabrina in the loop of this filming. She just didn't like what she was hearing after the fact in regards to what the filming looked like. As TMZ previously reported, Wendy is currently living in an assisted living facility despite her efforts to terminate her guardianship. So that is the only update that we have. I remember the attorney that her niece put in place after everyone shined a light on this conservatorship said that she would be released at the end of last year out of this guardianship. And I said to you, I was like, I did not 100% believe him in that. And as you can see, we're already more than halfway through 2026, and there's no clarity on what's going on with that. We definitely want to continue to talk about this situation and continue to say free Wendy, because that is what got Britney Spears out of her conservatorship. I wish Wendy the best in the situation. The only bright side of this settlement, which we don't know what that includes, and usually when you have a settlement, you never find out what that looks like. My concern in regards to this settlement is who's getting the money and how much, because this was how many years legal battle? How much has Sabrina Morrissey charged Wendy's estate handling this situation, and how much money is actually left between the amount of money they're spending at this adult living facility that she's spending. I forgot how many. It's like tens of thousands of dollars a month that they're spending for her living there. And apparently, I don't think I have to say allegedly, they sold that condo that she had in the documentary. They sold that way below asking price on what it was actually worth. So there's just a lot of mismanagement happening when it comes to Wendy's money. Guys, as always, that's the update. I want to know your thoughts and opinions on what is going on with Chadwick Boseman's estate and what is going on with Wendy Williams. Another quick MyFitnessPal moment. Logging your food is one thing, but here's something I didn't expect. After a while, MyFitnessPal Premium actually starts showing you patterns. Not just today, not just one meal, but it's actually showing you patterns of your eating habits. And that's where it got real for me, because it started showing me things that I didn't even realize. How my weekends completely fell apart versus my weekdays. Or on days when I actually hit my protein goals, that I actually felt really, really good versus other days where I didn't hit my protein goals. I wasn't guessing anymore. I could actually see it in the MyFitnessPal app. And once you can see a pattern, that's when you can actually change it. And that's the difference of tracking versus understanding what you're tracking. Because as I keep reminding you, your nutrition is the foundation everything runs on. Your energy, your sleep, your recovery. And the insights are what connects the dots. Go to podcast.myfitnesspal.com and use code KEMPIRE, all uppercase, for 15% off MyFitnessPal Premium. Thanks, MyFitnessPal. There's been so much going on in the Real Housewives world that I haven't had an opportunity this week to even talk about it. So I said, you know what? I'll take a little bit out of this Friday afternoon to give you my thoughts on the Real Housewives of Orange County's latest season. I didn't get to watch last night's episode, but I will talk about the first 2 episodes a little bit. Talking also about Real Housewives of London, which I watched back in October when I was in the UK. And now it's premiering here in the United States. Not all the episodes have been released yet, but episode 1 has been released. And I was reminded after watching it just how good it actually is. We'll talk about that. And the Real Housewives of New York's trailer for their new season has premiered. And people are like, Carol's got her apple back? Or did she deserve it? We'll talk. First of all, happy Friday, guys. If you missed it, I was live with Dr. Frida earlier today. It was such a wealth of knowledge, so be sure to check out that video. And you can also hear it on audio later today, if not this weekend. All right. I did see the Real Housewives of New York trailer came out. I want to play it for you guys so we can listen to it together. I can't show it to you, and I'll have to stop and go just because Bravo's real sensitive about us promoting their show for free. But anyway, I've digressed. So I want to get into that, and then we can talk about some of this other Housewives stuff. But before we do get into that, I did see that Real Housewives of Salt Lake City star Whitney Rose and her husband, apparently, according to Page 6, are living separate lives. I just want to say this. At the reunion, when she had that dramatic walk off stage and she went to go hug Justin, and she was just like, I can't explain what I'm going through hearing. I forgot who was talking about their marriage issues. Hearing them talk about marriage issues, it made me think about us and what we've been going through. And I told you guys back then, I said, she's setting up a marriage trouble storyline for next season. And I find it very interesting that it got leaked to Page 6 that they're living very separate lives. The timing of that is very interesting. But okay, Whitney Rose, we'll play along. I heard some stuff about Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, but I'll spill it at the September 25th show. The September 25th show here in New York City, go get your in-person tickets. And then if you can't make it, there are live stream tickets available. I have so much that I could spill. Stay tuned. But do you believe this marriage trouble storyline that Whitney Rose is going to give us for season 7 of the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City? You already saw that it came out. And I also told you then, when I talked about this in a previous video, the Angie K of it all is interesting to me because of what I've heard how her season goes. And I said, is she getting separated from Sean as a way to get sympathy because she knows the season's about to be bad, y'all? And I'm not saying just bad amongst the women, but based on what happens, that the audience might turn on Angie K. Not might. If they decide to keep in some of what I found out, the audience will turn on Angie K this season.
Hey guys, it's Joe.
It's Kevin.
And this is Nick Jonas from Hey Jonas.
Do you remember growing up when it felt like every teacher had a favorite student?
Everybody knew who it was.
Well, I was homeschooled, so I like to think it was me.
A class of one. Congratulations.
But we're not here to talk about favorite students. We want to talk about a teacher's real favorite.
Kleenex tissues.
According to Teacher List, Kleenex is the #1 facial tissue brand trusted by teachers.
Kleenex Ultra Soft tissues are silky soft to help prevent skin irritation. And now you can take them anywhere with Kleenex Snap and Go.
Between dance, soccer, school events, and everything else kids have going on after school, Kleenex Snap and Go is easy to take along. It fits in backpacks, sports bags, or even in the car, so it's ready for whatever comes next. So do the best thing for your kids, and teachers, stock up on the ultimate classroom favorite. Maybe you'll even become the teacher's favorite parent.
We still haven't settled who would be the favorite in our school.
We haven't settled who the favorite brother is either.
For whatever happens next, grab Kleenex.
So we shall see. But if it is true that they are separated and they're getting a divorce, 27 years of being married to someone it's not something to look at and be like, oh my gosh, terrible. No, you guys were together for nearly 30 years, blissfully. That's why I don't know if I necessarily believe it, but I also understand we get a smidge of these people's lives. We don't know what's really happening in their lives. But okay. I digress because I wanted to talk about Real Housewives of New York, but you guys probably have been wanting to hear my thoughts on what's been going on in these streets, okay? In these Real Housewives streets. So the trailer for Real Housewives of New York came out, and I already told you that they're going to pull out all the stops for this city because Andy Cohen is not about to have this be a failure. I'm going to digress one more time. They just wrapped filming for Real Housewives in New Jersey. I heard some stuff about that too, but I'm going to keep that to myself. For now. But, okay, New Jersey, we shall see how this new season goes in regards to the relationships, okay? But back to Real Housewives of New York. So I've heard some things about New York, too, so I'm not surprised they're pulling out all the stops. I will give them their flowers, though. That promo, in regards to the promo shots that they shot, the red with the ox blood, as they would say, or burgundy, Everyone looks amazing, but they have been killing it when it comes to looking so chic. Okay, Dorit. So chic when it's related to their look. Carol being centered, Apple, doesn't give me hope. I know there are some people that are like, oh my God, Carol's back. Oh my God. I'm not going to say I didn't like Carol on Real Housewives of New York because that would not be the truth. I did like her on there. But the fact that the show is going to be centered around her, she's not a Bethany Frankel. No matter how you feel about Bethany, Bethany is a polarizing character, but she is a great reality television. Carol, I can't say that she is going to be able to carry the show. I also do find it interesting, and I know they're saying, oh, Carol's been friends with Aaron, and she's like the glue, and she's bringing everyone together. They said that about Shamia, too, at one particular point. Not to say that Carol is a Shamia, but I don't know if I'm going to say that Carol is what was needed for this reboot, in my humble opinion. But I'm open to being wrong. I actually am hopeful that the season is good because I love New York, Real Housewives of New York. It's my city. But when I looked at the cast photo, I said, again, they just keep getting this wrong. For a show based here in New York City, it looks not very New York City. Okay, you have Jessel. Okay, fine. There goes your people of color, right? Jessel looks great. Everyone looks great in the photo. I did see Sutton Stroller on X posted all their ages, and the fact that Carol is 62 years old, she looks great. I'm always going to say that she looks great. But then the rest of the women are in their 30s and 40s. I'm just like, okay, fine. We shall see. Andy Cohen did say on his Sirius XM show that Martha Stewart makes several appearances this season. They're going to juice whatever is going to bring people to watch this show. So Martha is going to make several appearances because Martha Stewart's makeup artist is one of the housewives. And it seems as if that she wants to be a housewife. Everyone wants to be a housewife. When I say housewife, meaning a real housewife, but fine. All right, let's play this trailer and let's react to this trailer, and then we'll get to some of the other things. How about my city?
I'm gonna do a quick little speech. Let's toast to authenticity. You're like a one-man Ponzi.
I will say this. It feels like Sai is the one carrying the bones this season. Like, she is involved in it all. So Jessel and Aaron are getting into it this season, apparently.
I wouldn't with you. Literally? I really wouldn't. You're bootleg Houdini. Let's toast to honest.
Bootleg Houdini when it comes to Aaron being a magician, trying to do her work. I have to agree with that.
You've been holding it to yourself all this stuff?
So Sai meets with her aunt, who's like a mother figure to her. I think in this conversation they're talking about Sai's divorce.
I feel so guilty. To live in fully in who we are.
I'm the only real person that's gonna say the truth to you.
So the two newbies are getting into a fight. I at this particular point, I don't know their names, and you probably don't either.
Everybody, bitches.
Because some of us are not there yet.
Aw, that was such a beautiful speech.
That was the newbie talking to Sai.
This season on The Real Housewives of New York.
One thing I have to, because it's very obvious that Andy wants to give this a Sex in the City. We're seeing the women be fashionable and walking through the city. I get it. I get what he's trying to do.
Oh, what are you saying? She came over here straight crowd. Trying to get me a sucker.
Did you? I probably did. Sai and me met at Scores. We were not strippers.
You know they have to always connect. This is how each person knows each other.
Artists to the stars.
Let's not forget the magic of Real Housewives in the beginning was the fact that these people not necessarily really knew each other like that, because like Nene didn't really know Kim Zolciak. She just knew of Kim Zolciak. She would see her around. They weren't real friends. But there was real history between some of these women. But in New York, there was some real history between some of those women.
What do you have in this kitchen? Store-bought pie? Oh, come on. There's so much to do in here.
I think the show, people are going to be wanting Martha Stewart to be a full-time housewife. Martha, don't do it, girl. You did not do all... I saw your documentary. You did not do all of that to be a housewife. I'm surprised that you're even doing this reality show. You must really like your makeup artist.
Join the crazy train. Choo choo. Daisy, I want my lashes done later, so I'm gonna not tell you to shut the up. Love you.
Carol, the winner of the Steven Tyler lookalike contest.
I can't believe it.
I did get to see, what was her name? The black woman that's supposedly going to be a friend of the season. She was also on Real World, and she used to be featured on, I can't think of her name at the present moment, but they did say that she was going to be a friend of this season. So we see her in the trailer as well.
I can't wait for summer, even though I only have 5 good summers left.
Yes.
I thought your 5 good summers were over, Carol, but okay.
God, you're wearing the J-Lo dress! Gucci's not expensive.
Gucci is expensive. She acts more frugal than you do, and she's the billionaire.
Girls,
Erica?
welcome
Is
to
Erica
our
the billionaire?
island.
This is literally White Lotus.
My hands are numb.
They went to Thailand? Do we know that? I'm assuming we knew that, right? It's just been so long.
Where's your other hand?
You have a hidden talent?
I love you.
Hey, you have like a big brown stain on your ass. It looks like you yourself.
Guys, there's a...
One thing I have to say, though, because the last 2 Real Housewives of New York trips were so depressing and so not fun. I hope they're able to make it fun.
Roshan here. She thinks that she is Martha. This looks like the leftovers from lunch.
Daisy, you can take yourself off this private island. Take yourself to McDonald's.
My house is flooded.
Holy shit. What
do you think this is going to be? Between 2 and 3.
That's crazy. The flooding damage to Erin's house? I guess it's her Hamptons house that they filmed at. Sidebar, I saw that Sai said on social media, because she showed video of her beautiful upstate house that she has, and they're like, are you going to have the ladies come up there and host up there? She was like, never. She's like, I don't want them ruining my place.
I'm in a lavender marriage.
What is a lavender marriage?
I sleep with women intimately as well.
Your husband is okay with this?
The newbie
When we
talks
get
about
to-
this. The newbie talks about, I guess, having an open marriage, I guess.
He goes on Craigslist to look for an apartment, and I go on Raya.
Here's the thing. Does anyone on this cast have a happy marriage? I think a lot of people watch these shows and reality shows for escapism. So they want to see people that actually are in love. I feel like the running theme lately is that we're constantly seeing so many people that are not in love, that are unhappy in their marriages. People don't want to see that. They can see that in their own house. Okay. Oh, someone screamed at Carol on the street, Epstein Files.
Epstein Files? Who is that? She's the one from the Epstein Files.
What's your feeling, guys, on this situation? Because here's the thing. There are people that are named in Epstein Files that really had nothing to do with him. They're just named in it because there was correspondence or something like that. But there are real people that defended Epstein, that were friends with Epstein, that were on the island. Bill Clinton. You know what I mean? Carol's a little different because it wasn't just that Carol was named in the Epstein Files. She was really good friends with Jocelyn. Like, good friends, like best friends. There's an actual photo, I believe it's in Jocelyn's house, where you see a photo of, like, just one photo. It's not like a photo of them together. A photo of Carol. Like, they were close. I just can't imagine being that close with someone that was doing something like this. And not to say that Carol knew anything. I don't know if I believe that Carol knew any of that stuff. I just can't imagine being really good friends with someone. And I'm sure there are people that surprise us every day. Like, I thought I knew that person. I don't know.
Ever went to this island?
No. You think I'm part of an international...
So you may have seen the story where they were saying that Sai was the one asking questions about Carol being named in the Epstein Files.
Who is that?
She's the one from the Epstein Files. So you never went to this island?
No. You think I'm part of an international sex trafficking ring?
I wouldn't be shocked that Bravo actually hired someone to be like, Epstein files, just saying.
Continues, I will release her. It will ruin her family.
Egg must be f***ing the shit out of your mouth, Aaron, because your lips are so goddamn loose. You are queefing everybody's f***ing business.
I never knew.
I hope Sai is leaning into her being herself. Because remember, she had her first season where people said, oh my God, Sai, I can't stand Sai. She's so mean, blah, 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 blah. And then her second season, she was trying to be overly nice. It looks like she's leaning into just being herself.
Coming. He just disappeared. I didn't know what to do.
Jessel is alluding to marriage trouble. I mean, there's so much I can say right now because I've heard there is marriage trouble and there might be another divorce. I'll just say that.
He heard the rumor himself, Jessel. From who? New York City.
Everyone's American love story is my American horror story.
I genuinely thought we had a friendship.
Oh, so they're going to talk about JFK Jr. and Caroline Bessette. So they're going to talk about that. Did they talk about Carol in the movie? No, they didn't. That was a good series that Ryan Murphy did on Hulu. For those that may have not seen, it was really good. Very well acted as well. I love what they did with that.
Completely heartbroken. You want to?
Let me go back.
Jessel. From who? New York City.
Everyone's American love story is my American horror story.
I genuinely thought we had a friendship, and I was completely heartbroken. You want to do this in front of everybody?
One f***ing kumbaya moment, and you guys are best friends now?
You're a lying ass snake of a bitch, and I'm a.
That was Sai talking to Sai and Aaron. No, Sai talking to Aaron and Jessel about they had one kumbaya moment, and now they're really close. Okay.
Heartbroken. You want to do this in front of everybody?
One f***ing kumbaya moment, and you guys are best friends now?
You're a lying ass snake of a bitch, and I'm a fucking mongoose. So watch your fucking back, and I'm not the one to f*** with.
Haley, wait. Matzo ball soup time.
Daisy needs a tiny bit of salt.
Not a tiny bit of salt. Okay. So that was the trailer for Real Housewives of New York. I also spilled a little tea in regards to it. So I want to talk to you about something that I've done on and off for years, even before this was a sponsored anything. Intermittent fasting. Have you tried it before? For me, it was never about extreme dieting or anything like that. It was more about giving my body a rhythm, a time for my body to eat and a time for my body to rest. And when I was dialed in, I really felt the difference. My energy felt steadier and I wasn't crashing in the afternoon. So this is real for me. But here's the real deal. For me, back in the day when I was doing intermittent fasting, I had to rely on timers, reminders, and I would forget. I was like, wait, when did I stop eating last night? When can I start eating today? Well, our friends over at MyFitnessPal is making it even easier to track your intermittent fasting if that's something that you do. So when I found out MyFitnessPal Premium has a built-in fasting tracker now, this is it right here. Look how simple. It actually walks you through it. You pick your goal. There is a 12-12 if you're brand new and easing in, a 14-10, or the 16-8, which is the one I do. 16 hours fasting and 8-hour eating window. And I love that it tells you right here, check with your doctor before making big changes. And there's even a what is intermittent fasting and is it right for you link built in. It's not pushing you, it's informing you. And as you'll see in the app, it's calculating everything for you. You set the time that you want to start fasting, and it automatically lets you know when you can break your fast. It even gives you tips on how to be successful at intermittent fasting, like stay hydrated, increase your protein, and more importantly, listen to your body. So the thing that I used to have to juggle timers, memory, is now all in MyFitnessPal Premium. As I mentioned to you guys before, I recently met with my nutritionist, so fasting isn't for everyone. And I like that the app always tells you speak to your doctor, speak to someone with the expertise in this, just to see if it will work for you. But if this has been something that you've been considering, now you have one place where it does everything for you. Because as I've been telling you, nutrition is the foundation of everything, especially when it comes to your energy, your sleep, and your recovery. And it's not just about what you eat, it's also about the rhythm of when you eat. And I'm so happy that MyFitnessPal Premium is making that just so much easier for everyone in every lifestyle. So if intermittent fasting is something that you've been considering or you've already been doing and you didn't realize that with MyFitnessPal Premium, it now makes your life so much easier when it comes to tracking it and going back and seeing, oh, how many days did I intermittent fast this week? It does it for you in MyFitnessPal Premium. As always, I've gotten you a discount. Go to podcast.myfitnesspal.com and use code KEMPIRE, all uppercase, for 15% off premium. All the information on your discount and everything MyFitnessPal will be available in the description. Thanks, MyFitnessPal. All right, I am not recapping Real Housewives of Orange County, but I did watch the first 2 episodes of Real Housewives of Orange County. It's much of the same, and that was my reaction when I first saw the premiere episode. I said, there's nothing really new. The basic gist of what's happening right now is that everyone is talking about Tamra. I will say this, Tamra looks great. She looks great. Everyone looks great for the most part. Does anyone look a mess? The new woman, I forgot her first name. I know her last name is Garcia. Her story in episode 2 is interesting, her dynamic. And already Vicky doesn't see it for her because she's just like, it sounds very unhealthy, your whole situation, because she isn't divorced, this woman. But she left her husband because he cheated on her. And she has, 4 kids? I think 4 kids with him. But they co-parent that way. And they've been co-parenting that way for years. But she has a boyfriend that recently cheated on her, so they're in a weird spot. But she's living in this big palatial home. One thing I will say, and what I've always said about Heather Dubrow, you can't kick her off the show because she's the only one that's going to throw a party that's thousands and thousands of dollars. Literally in the premiere episode, she throws a party that was like $75,000. Jen is working overtime being a bone collector, bringing information to Tamra that, well, Heather's talking about you. Heather says, well, stop asking me about her. Like, you're always fishing for information. In episode 2, they show the amount of questions that Jen kept on asking about Tamra. Like, oh, do you agree with this? But I have to say, Jen, you've become really unlikable, and you used to be very likable. And it's not because of you turning on Katie. Katie's made her whole personality now this being on Real Housewives of Orange County for 1 season and a quarter of a season. Really? But anyway, I digress. I've already talked about Katie. I'm not going to give her any more light or shine because that's what she wants. But Jen being the bone carrier of this information, how do you guys feel about Tamra and Heather's situation? I feel like it's just a continuation from last season. No one cares this season. I don't believe Heather Dubrow talks crap about Tamra. I think she basically says what she said to us and what we say about Tamra as well. She's a lot. She's a lot. And that's why, and Heather has admitted why she doesn't say a lot. Like, she picks and chooses her battles with Tamra. So in episode 2, Tamra confronts Heather about it. They have another conversation about it. Again, I don't feel like that's an issue even worth talking about, but whatever. But Tamra also mentions having an issue with Emily. She feels like Emily is ungrateful. I didn't even know Emily had a podcast till she mentioned it during the reunion. And then even after the reunion, I completely forgot. So we see in episode 2, Emily doing a whole photo shoot with her husband because they're doing another podcast where they talk about marriage and stuff like that. I believe Tamra when she says when they removed her from her feed that the podcast tanked in regards to Emily's numbers. Emily did not like the fact that she even said that during the reunion. But it's true. I don't understand why we're even talking about this at Emily's celebration, like her birthday celebration. And Emily's just like, that wasn't nice for what you said. But it's true. It's true. Like, I get it. Tamra shouldn't have said it, but she's also a Virgo. So I'm not surprised that she said it. Virgos are very blunt. So I'm not surprised that she said it. And I also believe her. No matter how I feel about Tamra or 2 T's in a pod, okay, their numbers are numbering. So you being a part of their feed, I'm pretty 100% sure it delivers because their feed is very popular. And I can't imagine listening to a podcast with you. Like, I like Emily sometimes on the show. I'm not so sold on her in the last couple of seasons. But I also don't understand everybody has a podcast now. And there's room for everyone. Because there are moments where I'm like, oh, I don't have a podcast to listen to. But never do I say to myself, maybe I should go listen to Two T's in a Pod. But that's me. And I also don't say to myself, well, that Emily podcast, now that I know that it even exists, I'm going to go listen to it. I have no interest. No interest. I much rather go listen to a fellow content creator before I go listen to Emily's podcast, to be honest with you. And some might say, well, she is a lawyer. She might be able to give the legal perspective on some of these cases. She is a lawyer, but she is not a practicing lawyer. There is a difference, though. There are people that have litigated for a long time that can actually give you experience versus like, oh, I went and got the education, but I don't really have the experience. There is a difference. You can tell the difference between those individuals. And this is coming from someone that has worked with thousands of attorneys. But that's me. That's me. I've worked with thousands of attorneys. I can give you a perspective, right? What else stood out to me? So they're fighting over that. Shannon, what's Shannon's storyline this season? I saw Patrick McDonald, a former producer for Real Housewives, Vanderpump, and things like that, said that Shannon isn't who she presents to be. So when we see that scene with Shannon on the bungee cords and stuff like that, I'm like, they're playing up this shtick when people are like, yeah, I'm not falling for it anymore. As I was watching, I was like, to think, when I first started watching this show, I was like, I like Shannon. She kind of gives me that grandmother feeling, and not in a negative, ageist way, but it's like, oh, it's like this warm feeling. Now I'm just like, it's just an act. It's just an act. It's not real. She's allegedly mean behind the scenes. I'm looking forward to seeing more of Heather and her mom and what's going on over there in that relationship. Just saying. Jen is still not married, which is fine, I guess. I was more interested in episode 2's conversation when it comes to the newbie Garcia, her dynamic and what was going on over there, but I'm not sure if that's going to keep me. I decided, since I was going to do a Real Housewives video, that I would talk about Orange County because I am watching it. I watched it. I can't say that I'm going to continue to watch it. Vicky's back. Vicky's what? Trying to get residency in Mexico, even though she wants to kick the Mexicans out of this country. They want to be here in this country for opportunities, but you want to go gentrify their area. You do realize you're not an expat, you're an immigrant, right? Because that's what they love to call Americans when they're abroad. I'm an expat. No, you're an immigrant. You're an immigrant. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that word either. Just saying. I don't think there was anything else about this season so far that was worth talking about. But I said, since I was doing this video, that I would talk briefly about what I've watched so far. I don't know if episode 3 got any better. I will say this, because everyone makes the excuse that, oh, everyone's watching on Peacock. That's why you're seeing the downfall in numbers when it comes to Housewives. I saw Real Housewives of Atlanta had a drop in their numbers again this week. Not great. But then I saw the numbers for Below Deck Med. Nearly 1 million watched in live. Like, they watched it live. That was live viewership. Nearly 1 million, like 991,000 people watched the last episode of Below Deck Med. Below Deck is the one keeping the lights on over there at Bravo. Just saying. I used to love Below Deck. I still do. I just have been behind in regards to watching it. I need to finish watching Below Deck Down Under, which I loved. But Below Deck Med was one that I ended up starting, but I didn't finish watching all the seasons. But I did watch the last couple of seasons. So I'm going to watch this current season because apparently everybody else is watching. And nobody's watching Orange County. Just saying. There was the premiere this week of Real Housewives of London. Did you guys watch it? And what did you think of it? First of all, I met Karen, the black housewife, that's on Real Housewives of London. She's also Jamaican. I met her at BravoCon, not the last one, but the one before that I actually went to in Las Vegas. She was lovely. I met her. I met Listra, who's on Real Housewives of Cheshire. I met her. I met them through Lisa Milan. Lisa Milan is friendly with them. So maybe you'll see Lisa Milan on Real Housewives of London because she's friends with Karen. Karen was also on another reality show. Was she on Cheshire too? As a friend of? I know she was on another one. Lovely woman. I was reminded, because it's been a while since I watched season 1 of Real Housewives of London, which came out last year, right? Last year? Yeah, because it was October that I watched it. And they just wrapped season 2 of Real Housewives of London. So we're real behind, y'all. We are real behind. But Carol's living that life over there. She's been with her husband for many years. She has kids with him. And I loved how she said in the first episode, she's like, darling, I didn't ask for jewelry. I asked for property. Because she has multiple properties, including this property that she's doing in season 1. You know I love a good property renovation, so I'm like, girl, I want to see what this looks like, because based on what she described, I mean, what we saw was just like, it was completely gutted. But based on what she described, I was like, ooh, I want to see what this is going to turn into. I need to remind me of everyone's names, because I can't remember everyone's names. Okay, one familiar face, Juliet Angus. You remember her from Ladies of London. You will also see Caroline Stanbury a couple of times during this season of Real Housewives of London. I'm sure you'll probably see her again in season 2. She really knows these women, so I'm not mad at that. I do know that Caroline she's desperate to be back on reality television. She's desperate to be back on reality television. It's very obvious. You see her YouTube channel with Sergio. Caroline, if you ever see this, let me just say this, Caroline. If you really want to be back on reality television, get rid of Sergio. I feel like he's part of the reason why people do not like you. I think you have a great reality television personality. I loved you on Ladies of London. You need to get rid of Sergio. They're constantly still talking about having a baby. The window is closing very quickly on that situation. And Sergio's annoying. He's not good reality television. He's part of the reason why Dubai got canceled. I'm being facetious. I don't know that for a fact. But Juliet is on this season, but you don't meet her in episode 1, so we won't talk about her yet. Amanda's living that life. Amanda Cronin, she's got her beauty products. She's got this big lavish lifestyle. She's dated other popular people from London. I vaguely remember seeing her in other things before. Karen, I really like Karen on the show because I'm like, it's nice to see someone that actually... You'll have an up and down relationship with Karen during the season. I'll just say that, okay? But I just love the fact that she was like, I don't ask for jewelry, I ask for property, and that she's like one of the richest people on this cast. The other Juliet Mayhew, you do meet in episode 1, and she has a beef with Panthea. Panthea is great reality television because Panthea is just going to say what's on her mind. There's just certain people that just are good reality television. Panthea is going to be that. Even if you don't like her, that doesn't mean she's not good reality television. So Panthea and Juliet have a beef at the first group event about a dentist recommendation, and the dentist did work, and then the dentist sent the bill. And she's like, you're so fake, Juliet, you borrow clothes. And they're like, what's wrong with borrowing clothes? What's wrong? She's borrowing clothes, and she tells a story about borrowing the clothes. I'm just like, Panthea, you keep delivering, Panthea. Keep delivering. The person y'all need to watch out for, though, and it's not because she's messy or anything, like, she's not. She to me gives, and I hate to say the Cynthia vibe, because I do think that Cynthia is always labeled boring. Cynthia Bailey is labeled boring or doesn't bring a lot. I can't say that Cynthia doesn't, especially in her confessions, she delivers. But Nessie kind of gives me that vibe. She's sort of like, she's like the peacemaker. She's not messy, but she has a very beautiful home over there in the very popular spot. I can't think of the name right now, but we will see during the season. This is the benefit of already watching the season. You will see later the Cockholds. No, that is not I'm leaving it in. I'm leaving my fourth wall in. It's almost pronounced like that. But anyway, you know the countryside that a lot of the rich folk go to. So Nessie has a very thriving cake business. But she also does very well, both her and her husband, and they have their own sort of estate over there. So they will host a group event, which doesn't turn out great for Karen during that time. So that's the cast of The Real Housewives of London. The first episode was really introducing everyone, and then, of course, there had to be that one unifying beef amongst the women, and that was the beef between Panthea and the first Juliet that you get to meet, not the Juliet from Ladies of London. We will meet her. I don't even think it's the second episode. It might be the second episode or third. I don't even know if it's the third episode. I can't remember because it's been so long since I watched it. But I will say that rewatching the episode, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot. I really enjoyed this. And the fact that I remember when I first watched it, I said, oh, I can't wait for it to come to New York, even though Andy at one particular point said, oh, it's not going to come to the United States. And I was like, why wouldn't it? Because a lot of the other cities do end up being pushed, because they also pushed, there's another one, Vancouver is now on Peacock as well. I haven't watched it. I don't know if it's any good. And I remember on Discovery Plus, when they had that, that's how I watched Real Housewives of Johannesburg. That's how I watched some of the Australian ones as well. So I remember watching the Real Housewives of London saying, oh, the community is going to love this because these women are living lavish. They're living very lavish lifestyles. Because London is like New York. If you're living in London proper, you got to have some coin. So none of these women are poor. And I think you guys are going to appreciate seeing their lavish lifestyles. And even some of the mediocre drama, meaning like it's not life-threatening drama. I can't remember everything, so it's going to be great to kind of rewatch and talk about it with you guys. I did want to give you just a brief video talking about it. Because I want to test the waters, because I could have did a live just talking about it and it would have been like 300 of y'all in here. That is not worth my time. Okay? Not worth my time in the least bit. But I did want to mention it because I am watching and I look forward to talking about it. And maybe if I do end up recapping it live, we will talk maybe about Orange County briefly. The next show to come out would be Real Housewives of New York. So maybe that's where we'll talk about Orange County briefly. I'm not going to take notes on it. If it's anything worth talking about, we'll talk about it. But I will be recapping Real Housewives of New York, I think, until I'm not. Because they almost lost me. I think they did lose me by the end of their season. Because it's just to the point where they had to reboot the reboot. But Andy Cohen was never going to let you see him sweat. Andy Cohen was never going to be like, oh, we had to make some adjustments. Okay. He's never going to let that situation go, which, I mean, it's a moneymaker. Would you let go of money? No, you wouldn't. You would never let go of money. We're going to continue. This was a nice long video. Be sure to check out the description, guys, in regards to our sponsors. Just a reminder in regards to our MyFitnessPal sponsorship. I just want to remind you that it's worth the investment. You're, first of all, also getting a discount from our discount code, KEMPIRE. Just a reminder that what it actually costs. Let me just see. Where is it? Because I wrote this down. In regards to how much it's worth, the premium is about $68 a year. That's not a lot. And yes, I get premium because I am a paid ambassador, for lack of a better word. However, I would pay $68 a year for all the great premium features that they're giving you. That works out to about $5.66 a month. That's about 19 cents a day. It's cheap. So be sure to check out our discount. Go to podcast.myfitnesspal.com and use KEMPIRE, all uppercase, for 15% off premium. All the information will be available in the description.
Thanks for tuning in to KEMPIRE here on the KEMPIRE Radio Network. Don't forget to give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. For more information on the podcast, head on over to KEMPIREradio.com.